These are the Harimau and Penyu tactile and linear switches respectively. Designed by Rebult Keyboards based right here in Malaysia, you can say that these two are essentially Malaysian-designed switches. Anyway, if you're looking for a frankenswitch like the Zyko tactile or a linear switch like the Black Cherry Pie, these two switches are actually pretty good alternatives. Keep on watching this review to find out why. So what exactly are the Harimau and Penyu? Well, first of all, Harimau and Penyu are actually tiger and sea turtles respectively in Bahasa Malaysia. The Harimau is a tactile switch inspired by Zykos, while the Penyu is a linear switch inspired by Black Cherry Pie. Both of them also has a nylon top housing with a nylon blend for the bottom housing, along with an extended palm stem. As for the spring weight, the Harimau has a 67g 80mm spring, while the Penyu has a 62g standard spring. It's also worth noting that the sample switches that we received are bone dry, but Rebult did say that the production run will include some factory loop on the springs. In terms of pricing, both of them cost 28 ringgit for 10 switches, so that puts it in the same price range as other high-end switches. So let's start with the good stuff of these two switches. The Harimau, as I've mentioned, is inspired by Zykos, a frankenswitch consisting of a Zelios bottom housing, halo stem and a panda top. It is meant to sound clean and loud with strong tactility. While we don't have any Zykos on hand to compare, the Harimau certainly has the aforementioned qualities. It has a big bump right at the top of the downstroke, likely the biggest we've ever felt in a switch, and compared to say a Gazoo Boba U40, the tactility of the Harimau is not only larger but it is also sharper. The sound profile of the Harimau is quite interesting as well. The nylon top along with the nylon blend for the bottom housing gives the switch a bit more bite in the form of a clack. It's still quite deep for a nylon switch, but compared to say the Boba U40, that switch is a little bit deeper and more muted. The Penyu, on the other hand, takes a more subtle approach in comparison to its loud, roaring sibling. Thanks to the long stem pole of the switch, it has a satisfying bottom-out sound and feel. As with the Harimau, the nylon top and nylon blend bottom housing of the Penyu seems to give off a sound that's deep yet clacky. Now, although this is not strictly related to the switch, it's worth paying attention to the naming behind these switches. Their names pay tribute to the endangered Malayan tigers and marine turtles here in Malaysia. As such, proceeds from the group buy for these switches will go to WWF Malaysia's Malayan Tiger and Marine Turtle Funds accordingly. Not only that, the switches themselves will come in Rebult's very own biodegradable and compostable Ziploc bags, reducing plastic wastage. Really, it's great to see that Rebult put so much thought and effort into this group buy, especially for a good cause. Now let's get back to the switches, more specifically some shortcomings of the Harimau and Penyu. A common issue with frankenswitches like Black Cherry Pies or Creamsicles is the reduced travel from the long pole in different housings. While the Harimau and Penyu have this issue as well, the travel distance is a hair longer to make it a bit more comfortable to adjust to. That being said, the somewhat abrupt bottom out might still not be for everyone. It's something that you have to try for yourself and see if you can get used to it. Another thing to note is that the samples we received were not factory loop. You can pick up a bit of scratchiness as well as spring noise if you're listening closely, especially on the Penyu. This shouldn't be a problem after a bit of loop, and Rebult did say that the production run will have factory loop springs for a better stock experience. Well then, are the Harimau and Penyu switches worth it? If you're intrigued by frankenswitches like the Black Cherry Pie or the Zykos, then the Penyu and Harimau respectively are very worth recommending. That being said, these wildlife switches are switches inspired by these frankenswitches. They are not going to feel and sound exactly like Zykos or the Black Cherry Pies. Of course, that is not necessarily a bad thing. Besides, you're also supporting a good cause by joining the group buy for these switches, while also getting some nice switches in exchange. That sounds like a very good deal. Just like our other Switch reviews, we will leave you guys with a sound test of the Harimau and Penyu. Like this video if you liked it, subscribe to our channel if you haven't already, and always stay tuned for more good stuff to come here on this channel and nextshift.com.